Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This time we will be seeing a game 5 from my 16 memorable games by Bobby Fischer. So this game was played in 1959, Fischer versus Rossetto. Now let's start the game. So in this game mainly, the game exemplifies the German expression zugzwang, and unable to achieve any workable advantage from the opening or middle game, Fischer embarks on an equally unpromising ending, and he employs an unusual rook maneuver along the third rank in order to make special inroads. Rossetto unwittingly cooperates. Now we'll see how he did that. The game starts with e4, c5, knight f3, e6, and here we have already seen that in game 1 Fischer versus Sharuin in 1957, Fischer played d3 with the idea of king's Indian reversed kind of setup, but here he went for open Sicilian, simply going for d4. Now d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, a6, and Fischer played here c4. So here a few things to remember. This is a Maróczy Bind setup. So with the move c4, Fischer simply bolstered this square, so he is not allowing white to play at some point d5, so simply making this square stronger. On the other hand, in Sicilian defense, we have seen like typically black goes for kingside castling, white goes for queenside castling, and white tries to kill through this kingside attack, whereas black comes queenside attack as white does casting in the queenside. Now once this c4 is played on the board, now it's very less likely that he is going to castle in the queenside, so both the player is going to castle in the same side, and some positional game we will see. Just like this game as well, Fischer mentioned that he was unable to manage some advantage in the opening and middle game, but he managed to win the game at the ending by using zugzwang and by unusual rook maneuver. Okay, now let's see queen c7, knight c3, knight f6, and here Fischer played bishop d3. Bishop d3 is slight inaccuracy in this system. The reason being, the bishop is not doing much. Bishop is simply blocked by 2 pawns. So bishop would have been better even at e2, or even like Fischer could have tried some other moves rather developing the bishop. For the time being, the move like a3 would be simply fine because it's not allowing black to come with the pinning the knight, so that would be a great move. On the other hand, maybe bishop simply bishop e2 is also good. So however, he played bishop d3. Let's come back to the game. Knight c6 and bishop e3. Here Rossetto simply took the knight, but it would have been better to take. The reason being, another once this is not good, because after knight comes, at some point knight can come here and try to get some tempi to the bishop. Either the bishop will fall. So this is another reason. However, after knight comes here, Rossetto simply took the knight. Rather, it would have been better to get a tempi on this bishop. If bishop doesn't move, he could have simply took this bishop. Nevertheless, let's come back to the game. Knight takes d4 and bishop takes d4. Bishop c5, bishop c2. You just see from this position here, once bishop c5 comes here, he could have taken this bishop. Now if this bishop is taken, now queen comes to more aggressive position, so which is all not good. On the other hand, what move bishop could have from here which will simply improve his position? On the other hand, he is also protecting the bishop. Now here the move, like we are talking, like bishop e2 always would have been better earlier as well, with the idea like protecting completely this diagonal, and at some point maybe this push simply protecting that. But now once this bishop is simply attacking this one without taking this, Fischer could have come here with the idea now protecting this bishop, and with the similar kind of idea what we have talked. But Fischer, rather going here, he went bishop c2. Now with the similar kind of idea, now this bishop is protecting, takes, queen takes, and protecting this pawn. So d6, short castle, bishop d7, and knight a4. Now forcing a series of exchange from here. So just bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, rook d8, rook f d1, and now black also does castling, and rook c1 developing the last piece on the board. Now the rook are well connected. This knight is slightly misplaced, and wrist position is fine. Black simply can't make through with this push. Now here we have to remember, like in this position, without bringing the rook here, before just bringing the rook here, we can see like this pawn could have taken, but if we took this pawn, then black would have ended up with two piece and against a single rook, which is not good at the ending. Now let's see how. Now here queen takes, and once queen takes, and rook takes d6, bishop takes f4, and rook takes d8, and once bishop takes here. Now once we take this one, take, and now just see like white has only rook, whereas black has two pieces, which is certainly not good. So that's not a possibility. So he just brought the rook to protect this bishop at some point. Now here he simply move the queen a5, and queen b6, simply offering the queen exchange, and queen takes b6, and knight takes b6, bishop c6, f3, simply protecting this pawn, and now offering the knight. Black had relied on this move to get rid out of the trouble. From here, Fischer played a wonderful move. You can pause the video here and try to find out what Fischer played. Knight d5, an unexpected reply which throws black unjustifiably into a state of confusion. Now here just see, now this knight is so well placed, centrally placed, he didn't take this knight, and simply if like pawn takes, this bishop is simply trapped. This bishop doesn't have any square to go, so he had to accept this either with the bishop or with the pawn. So he took with the bishop, and bishop takes, and now e takes d5, e5, b4, and he is aiming to this push. g6, just some square for breathing square for the king. Bishop a4, b6, and not allowing this push. If takes, he simply can't go that one, so simply preparing for that. And now the unusual, this rook maneuver. Now main threat from this rook maneuver is like bringing the rook in this file and going for taking this knight, and followed by picking up this pawn. But Rossetto simply didn't get that point. He's simply oblivious to the danger, and he simply ignored that, and he played simply f5, which is a mistake. He could have played, like he could have shorted these issues before moving this one. So he just moved that one, which is a mistake. And now how Fischer punished that, just see, like bringing the rook in that rank, and followed by his planning to take this one, and then followed by this take one. And on the other side, you have to remember, if knight moves something like that, then this c push is possible, and which is dangerous for black. White is aiming to push, but this knight is for the time being protected. Once knight moves from here, white will go for that push. So just said knight b8, so simply knight went back and simply protecting this one, but he just removed the defense from the critical square. So Fischer went for c5, b takes c5, and b takes c5, d takes c5, rook takes c5, king g7, rook b3, preparing some check and some 7th rank positioning, which is dream square for any rook. So simply not allowing him for going for that, and pushing d6. Now just see this all the squares covered. This two square covered by the pawn, this square covered by the bishop. On the other hand, he simply can't take this pawn because this push is possible. So with this move, this pawn is not only advanced, on the other hand, white is preparing to bring his rook in the 7th rank with support to this pawn. So he just moved his knight, and now the rook takes the 7th rank. Knight f8 and rook b7. Now this two rook in the 7th rank, and they are too strong. So black doesn't have any option. He has to offer the trade. He took, and Bobby just took with his pawn. Now this is threatening to push, this is threatening to take, so he has to act, and now rook comes to protect there. Now from this position, you just see like rook is protecting this pawn. On the other hand, the bishop is like so deadly. At some point, bishop is aiming for coming to this square and harass this one, but this knight is protecting this square here, which simply paralyzed black. Black doesn't have any move after that move. He went for complete zugzwang. So the move is bishop b3. Now with the bishop b3, the idea is now the knight simply can't come here, and because of the bishop takes knight, so that's not possible. On the other hand, if knight try to come, bishop comes with the pinning this one, and in that move the simply this knight will fall. On the other hand, if king tries to escape and try to close to this pawn, then this rook will go back, and if he takes, this knight will fall, because this king is also protecting this knight, you have to remember. So this king is protecting this knight is protecting this 2 square, rook is protecting this. So once he get run out of his pawn's move, he has to move his king, and that's complete zugzwang. So he just relied on that move. So f5, f4, h6, h3, g5, g4, f takes g4, h takes g4, and king f6, because now he doesn't have any move from here. He can't go this one, he can't go this one, he doesn't have any move. If knight tries to come here, this pin is coming. Now if he tries something like that, takes, and this one is getting promoted. So from here it's a simply zugzwang. He can't go here, he can't go here, because this bishop takes. There is no move he has. If he goes here, if he can't go here, if he go here, the similar kind of situation will arise. So he is simply helpless. So once king goes, now going back, now he can't take. If he takes, this will fall. So just so here he resigned, Rossetto resigned. Now if he take this one, takes with a check, and soon maybe he can win this rook, or maybe trade off the rook, and this is a very easy win for white. So you have just seen how the unusual rook maneuver in the 3rd rank and like zugzwang helped Fischer to win the game, and typical C push like attacking a pawn, and to support that pawn, Rossetto had to maneuver his knight to protect that pawn, and then he just pushed this pawn and got a great play. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.